Good afternoon and welcome everyone to this presentation on how to fill in the budget part in the e-form in order to submit a proposal to the capitalization call for proposals. This presentation is the logical continuation of the presentation on how to submit the e-form narrative part of the e-form, which is also available on the program website. So this presentation will focus on how to fill in the budget, on how to fill in the financial plan, and on how to fill in the specific section on the financial capacity. The first thing that we are going to see together is how to fill in the budget part 1, which is done through the subsection of work packages and budget part 1 in the vertical menu of the e-form. So if you go to the vertical menu on the left side of your screen, remember that you have already filled in the other sections, previous sections, so the preliminary info, the project, which includes the logical framework. You have to remember this. And you have also completed the partnership. It is very important that you don't start filling in the section of work packages and budget before filling in those sections. If not, you may lose a lot of time. So this is a very important recommendation for you. Let's open the subsection on work packages and budgets. You can see that you have several work packages. You have work package 0, 1, and 2, which are the non-technical work packages, predefined work packages, and you have work package 3 and 4, the two technical work packages that we have created when we have completed the logical framework in the project section. So if you have seen before the presentation on how to fill in the narrative section of the e-form, you know that in our example, we have only created 2 work packages, technical work packages. But you can create up to 4 technical work packages, and these work packages, once created in the logical framework, they will automatically appear in this section on work packages and budget. I have already completed the information on work packages and the budget part of these work packages for most of the work packages, but I have left one empty to make this exercise with you. And I have left empty work package 2, which is the work package dedicated to communication. So if we open work package 2 communication, you have this screen appearing with 5 sections: work package info, work package inputs, work package budget, work package budget per output, and the work package budget per cost category. Work package info was already filled in the presentation on the narrative part. The same can be said about work package outputs. We have 3 outputs in this work package, and of course you can have more work packages, more outputs, and usually you will have more outputs in this section. But work package info, work package outputs was already done in another section. You may realize here that the name of the work packages are in French, so sorry for this. Of course, this comes from the presentation in French, also available on the program website. But let's focus now on how to fill in the work package budget. And this is the third subsection of work package 2. You arrive to this screen. You have a couple of figures there. The first figures gives you an indication on how important is the work package in relation to the budget. Of course, now you have the fact that work package 2 equals 0% of the total budget because we have not filled in this work package yet. And on the right side, you have the information on if you are satisfying or not the rule of 50% of the budget that you have to allocate to the Mediterranean partner countries. You can see here that so far, and having not filled in yet work package 2, Mediterranean partner country partners have only 30% of the total budget, which is not enough. But this we will see it quite later on. Let's now concentrate on how we can add new budget lines. And to do this, you have to use the option Add New Row. We do it together. And a code is appearing automatically. And then you have to choose cost category. We will start with the human resources, which is usually also what you will start with. And then we'll go partner by partner. In our example, we will start with partner 1 because the partner 1 is the coordinator of work package 1 on communication. Of course, you may start by the applicant or even by partner 4. The order is not very important. You may have let's say that the section description is very important, and you have to understand this simple thing. The program is only expecting from you an indication of two types of human resources for each work package and for each partner. From one side, those of the organization that will work on the work package and that can be regarded as senior managers. And from another side, those that will work on the work package and that may be regarded as junior experts or junior managers. Usually these two types of human resources have very different salaries, so that's why we ask you to split the human resources into these two cost categories, into these two staff categories. So very important, you don't have to tell us, you don't have to give us a single budget line for each person that will be involved for each organization in the work package. Two budget lines are enough for each project partner and each working package. But let's see it together. So the partner 1, which is the coordinator, will probably employ senior managers for communication. We may, well, the unit type is always per day in for human resources, so you don't have any choice here. You have to give us an approximation of the unit cost per day. The number of units will be the number of days that you think that all the senior managers of partner 1 will work in work package 2. Let's imagine that project partner 1 will employ for 24 days of senior managers. Remember that this is a project of 24 months, and the cost is, in this case, 400 euros a day. And you have the total, which is calculated automatically. This is quite simple. You can see we only want senior managers, how many days, for all the senior managers that will be working in the group on the working package, how many days, and of course, what is the unit cost, meaning the daily cost. Justification cannot be filled in for this cost category, but very important, you have to tell us in which semester the single cost of the budget line will be incurred. In this case, as we are talking of communication, as it is always the case, well, not always, but probably most oftenly the case, the senior managers will be working during all the project life. So you will specify all the semesters available. Let's see now how do we proceed with the junior experts or the junior manager, because partner one will probably have also junior managers employed in this working package. The unit type is always per day. And the unit number will be, of course, this is up to you, but in our case, we can imagine that it will be twice as much as the senior manager, meaning 48 days, and the cost will be only 250 euros. The same as before for the semesters, they will probably be employed during all the semesters. Let me remind you and pay attention, please, to the fact that if you don't indicate that semester, you will not be able to complete the financial plan that we will see more afterwards, and the assessors that will evaluate your proposal won't be able to evaluate the logic of your project from the point of view of the annual and the life cycle of your project if the expenditures are well balanced throughout the project duration. And this is very important. If you don't tell us in which semesters the budget lines will be incurred, your evaluation will probably be badly affected by this thing that you may forget. So pay attention to this. Well, we have seen how human resources will be done or dealt with, at least for partner one, and let's continue with partner one because they will probably have more expenditures, not only human resources. They may have travel and subsistence. So partner one may have to attend conferences or whatever else. This is of course up to the reality of your project. And for travels, you will have to tell us two unit types, travel and per diem. Travel, you will have, in our example, to attend 3 conferences, and the rate for each travel will be 1,000, meaning that each travel will cost to PP1 1,000. The rest is calculated automatically. Here you have to specify also the semester, and in our case, we imagine that the conferences will take place in semesters 2, 3, and 4. Now we also want you to tell us about per diem. So we still have partner 1, still have the same description, conferences, but this time you choose per diem. And if for these conferences you will employ, for example, 6 days, meaning that you will spend 6 nights, a total of 2 nights per conferences, and that the per diem per day for your organization is 130, you will have 780 euros. Semester are the same as the budget line, the previous budget line. Of course, this is for the case where you have 3 travels to conferences, 2 nights per conference, and only one person attending each conference. If you have more than one person, for example, 2 persons, you will have to multiply these figures by 2. So we have seen how it works for human resources and for travel and subsistence. Now you may have more costs and more cost categories. For example, you probably will not have infrastructures. Well, you will not have infrastructures in working package 2. You may have some equipment and supplies. Let's imagine one. So equipment, please in description give us a more precise description. For the purpose of this exercise, I only lay down equipment, but of course, the more precise you are, the best for your evaluation. Unit type is unit. Only one equipment will be needed for an amount of 2,000 euros. Important to remark that in the case of infrastructures or equipment, you have to give us a justification. So please tell us justified because and tell us why this equipment is needed and how it will be paid. In our case, we will say that it will be paid in semester 2. As far as equipment are concerned, please remember that equipments, if they are bought for management, for example, a computer that a partner needs for the management part of the project, they will have to be bought during semester 1. But equipment that are not related to the management part of the project may be bought at any other semester. Let's see now another cost category, which is very frequent in this working package. It is external service. Let's say that partner 1 will realize a certain number of translations during the project life. For example, 10 translations for a cost of 1,000. For subcontracting, you cannot fill in the justification, but you will have to provide information in the narrative section of the e-form on the need for subcontracting, and you will tell us how they will be incurred, for example, in semester 2 and 3. And this is the situation for group working package 2. Of course, you have to repeat this information for all project partners, and you will have a clearer and more complete situation. I have done something that you will not have to do, and I have not saved often enough. Please go to the button Save and save every 1, 2, or 3 budget lines at the most, because you might lose information. But I will do it now. I save. If you have not done save and you go to another section, this information will be lost. So it is very important. Now you can see that the figure on the left side and on the above part of your screen has changed, and War Package 2 is now 11.55% of the total budget. So War Package 2 is done. We will have a look at War Package 1 that I have already completed before in the French version of this presentation, just to remind you that in War Package 1 you have to mention also the audit costs. So you can see here in this budget line, external services, in the case of the applicant, that we have chosen audit in description, and the unit type under external services, you may choose unit for other other aspects, and you may choose audit when you are telling us what will be the costs for each partner of the evaluation of the verification, of the verification of the expenditures. You will see that you have two unit items, two unit numbers, because for a 24 months project, you will have two project interim reports, meaning two expenditure verification reports. Unit cost is 1,500 for this lead applicant, which is from Spain, the fictional lead applicant, and a total of 3,000. This has to be done for each partner. So you can see here that you will find the situation for the other one too. For example, you have audit for partner 1, you have audit for partner 2, and so on. Now, let's also have a look at a technical work package, for example, work package 3, where you may find something that you will not find under communication or management, which is subgranting. So subgranting is not in work package 3. Let's have a look at work package 4. And we have no subgrant yet, but we can have one. And just a moment, because we have gone quicker than the application. Go back to work package 3, budget. As you can see, we are waiting for the button add new row to arrive. Sometimes the application is not going so quick as we would like, but usually it's just a question of a few seconds, and it is okay. It is okay now. We have it, so you've seen it's just been a question of minutes. We will add a new row under work package 3, and we will say, okay, so it takes some time. We will say that the project partner number 3, okay. Okay, so sorry for this small problem. Indeed, I had to wait for the application to go and to arrive on time, but now it's there. So I'm creating a new budget line, and I can now choose the cost category, and I will choose other. In order, it is where you can indicate the subgrants that you will have and that are linked to your project activities. That's why necessarily they will be under the work package, under the technical work packages. And we are going to inform that it is the work project partner number 3 that will be dealing with this subgrants. So the subgrants, remember that they have to be linked to the activities. You will have to choose subgrants under unit type. Project partner 3 will award 10 subgrants to grantees that will receive each 5,000 euros for a total of 50,000. Here you have to provide us a short justification, justified because, and tell us when this will happen. In our case, it will all happen in semester 3. Be aware that in the narrative section, you also have a specific section where you have to provide us more information and complete information on how you will manage the subgrants in your project. And that's all for the direct part related to the budget headlines. Now we are going to see how to fill in the work package budget per output.
Once you have completed the budget section under each work package, what you have to do is provide us information on how or on which extent each output will contribute in this work package. So you are now going to the section work package budget per outputs. So we are opening it, and you will see that you can choose among the several outputs that you have in this section. Remember that you have added these outputs before, as we have seen in the presentation on how to fill in the e-form. That's why here for work package 2, but this is also the case for work package 1, where you have added outputs, and for work package 3 and 4, where you have indicated the outputs when you have completed the logical framework. So in this case, we have 3 outputs, 1, 2, and 3. You will select first output 1 and tell us, on your opinion, which percentage of the budget work package will be dedicated to the achievement of this single output. For example, in our case, 30%. We save this information and we have the information below. Of course, the sum of the 3 percentages, in this case because you have 3 outputs, must be 100%. We can imagine that the second one is a bigger output and that it will involve 50% of the budget. So necessarily the 20% remaining will be dedicated to output number 3. So this is a very simple action that you have to perform for each single work package. Do not forget this operation because we absolutely need to know the budget extension, the budget impact of each output. So once you have completed the budget lines and the budget per outputs, you can go to the 5th subsection, which is work package budget per cost category. And here you can see, you can have an overview of the work package with the amounts for each cost category and the amounts for each project partner. So as we have not made the exercise to fully complete this work package, the picture here is not quite complete. But if we go to work package 1, where we have made this exercise, you will see that the work package budget per cost category is more detailed. In this picture, project partner 4 has no budget, but logically it should have, because we understand that all project partners will be involved in a certain way in the work package on management. But this is okay. This is almost finished for the work package and budget part 1. Before going to budget part 2, we are going to see 2 options that you have. Outputs overview, so you can see an overview of the outputs and also of the activities, but this was already mentioned to you in the other presentation on the e-form. So let's go now directly to the next part related to the budget, which is budget part 2. And here we have also several subsections, the first one being the indirect costs. Here you can inform us, or you must inform us, on two separate kinds of indirect costs. The first one is the administrative costs, which is by default 7% or 0% when you enter in the application. I had already filled in this part for the French version, so I have 7%, but you could have 0%, you could have 1.5, or we can have 7, which is our case in this exercise. The important thing here is that the percentage that you choose in the e-form must be consistent with the percentage that you obtain in the Excel file on the calculation of the administrative costs. So please make sure that you just report here the same percentage as in the Excel sheet that you will also have to upload as a PDF document in the e-form. Contingency reserve, remember that this is not mandatory, so you can choose to have no contingency reserve. In this case, you will choose 0%, but in our case, we decide to have a contingency reserve of 2% of the total direct costs. We choose these two percentages and the amounts are automatically updated. We save and we can pass to the next section. Co-financing and source of funding and revenues. The first thing that you have to do here is to choose the co-financing rate at project level. 10% is the minimum co-financing rate that you can provide. You can see that you can provide a higher percentage, indeed up to 50% of the budget. But in our case, we will stick to 10%, which is the most usual choice. We choose 10%, we save, and you can see that the co-financing is automatically calculated. By the way, you can see here that the total eligible costs is below €500,000, which is the minimum contribution that you can ask in this call. So with this budget, you would not be allowed to submit the project. But of course, you know that in this exercise, we have not made the complete action of filling in each single part of the budget. You will have to do it, and be sure that your amount of contribution is comprised between €500,000 and €1 million to be able to submit the proposal. Once you have chosen the co-financing rate, you have to inform us on the source of funding for each partner. I have already pre-filled the source of funding for the applicant, which is already done, but we are going to do it together for partner number 1. So I choose partner number 1 and I specify the source of funding. You can see that it can be a contribution from Mediterranean partner countries, contribution from an EU member state, a contribution from other organizations, human resources, or own funds. In the case of the applicant, we had chosen human resources, but in this case, we will choose a contribution from another EU member state. You will have to explain this here. So, explain the source. Then it is very important to specify if this partner will generate any type of revenue during the project life. If not, you will have to mention 0. That's what we done. And you will have to provide also a very short explanation. In this case, no revenues. If you don't fill in these two sections, you are not able to save, even if you don't have revenues. We save, and the information is now updated here below. You have to repeat this operation for each partner of the proposal. So that's the second section of budget part 2. Let's go now to the 50% rule. And let's have a look at the figures, the several lines that we have. Before, let's wait for a few seconds because, as I said already, sometimes the system goes slower than us, and as you can see, the figures have not arrived yet. By the way, if it happens to you that you have a consistent error or an error that remains for a long while, my advice is to log out. Of course, first you save as much as you can, then you log out and you automatically log in, and the information should be back again. Okay, so we can see now that the figures have arrived. Indeed, I had to log out and log in. So this is good advice. Do it from time to time if your application is struggling. What do we have here in this screen? First line is the total budget managed or assigned to EU partners, and we can see that so far it is up to 55%, almost 56% of your budget. The second line informs you that only 44% at this stage of your budget is allocated to the partners coming from the Mediterranean partner countries, and this is not acceptable in our program. As you know, we have our golden rule, and 50% of the costs must be for activities implemented in the Mediterranean partner countries. So you have here basically two solutions. First one is to go back to the budget part 1 and reassign some budget lines in order to make this second line here equal to 50% or more. But this is not always possible. Maybe you have already done a very good estimation. You have completed quite precisely the budget part 1 and you cannot make this type of move anymore. So you have a second option, and we will see this second option together. You will have to select first one of the partners coming from the European Union. In our case, the applicant, the partner 1 and the partner 4 are European countries. We choose EU partner number 4. We choose a cost category. Cost category can be infrastructures, equipment, external services, or other. So you cannot choose human resources, you cannot choose travel. We'll see how. We are going to choose equipment and supplies. Then we have to choose a budget line. Indeed, there is only one budget line for the partner 4 and the cost category of equipment. Now you have to select a country, an MPC country, because you will have to inform us on which activity or budget line that will be paid by a European partner, in this case partner 4, in which country this activity will be implemented or to which country it will benefit. In this case, we will say that it will benefit to Tunisia. As always, you know how our tool works. You will have to provide a short description, and then you will have to tell us the cost of the activity paid by the northern country, meaning the EU country, will benefit to the south, in this case to Tunisia. You know that this budget line is 60,000 euros because you have provided this information. You can tell us that this whole amount will be for the benefit of Tunisia or a part of this amount. In our case, we will say that the full amount will be paid for the benefit of Tunisia. We will save the information, and now the above figures are updated. The first two are the same, but you have now a third one telling us that 60,000 euros will be costs of EU partners, but for activities implemented in Mediterranean partner countries. And you will have the fourth one, the total of direct costs directly managed by Mediterranean partner countries, plus these costs managed by EU partners, but for benefits for activities implemented in Mediterranean partner countries, will be 60.12%, meaning more than 50%. If this fourth line is more than 50%, it means that you satisfy the rule of the 50%. So you are okay and you can proceed. Let's go now to the last section. Well, it is not a section that you have to complete, it is a summary. You can see the budget by budget line, by cost category, and by cost category, pay attention to human resources. You know that it cannot be higher than 40%. In our case, we have only 33%, so it's all right. You have the information per work package, per output, the source of funding, and the compliance with the 50% rule. So this is quite a detailed summary on the budget. Now we have filled in budget part 1 and budget part 2. What do we still have to do? We have to go to the financial plan. So this is the next section. We open the financial plan and we will have a table for each partner and a table for the applicant, and quite below also a table for the total of the partnership. The financial plan is important. Indeed, you could submit the proposal without filling in the financial plan, but we do not recommend this in any case. Indeed, we recommend you to fill in the financial plan because it will provide very relevant information to the external assessors that will be able to better evaluate your proposal, and your score probably would be positively impacted by a good and sound financial plan. The financial plan informs us on your contribution, the contribution that you will receive, the payments that you will have, the difference between these payments and the contribution, and you will have to tell us and indicate us that in those semesters where the payments exceed the contribution, you will have to provide some cash advance in order to make possible the remaining payments. Let's see this in an example, because you will see that it is much more easier, much more easier than it seems. I've already done the exercise for the applicant, so we will do it together for a partner, and we can choose, for example, partner 2. So if you have a look at partner 2, you will see that the payments are not too well balanced. You can see in the line difference, which is below, that 3 figures in 3 semesters are in red and are negative amounts, meaning that in these 3 semesters the payments exceed the money available for partner 2 coming from the contribution of the program, and that, of course, this means that this partner in this semester will have to advance some cash money. So let's see it semester by semester. Semester 1, the partner 2 will receive more than 31,000 euros. This is the first pre-financing that arrives in semester 1. In semester 1, it has payment for 17,000, so it has a remaining money of 13,000 euros. So no need to advance money in this semester, but the situation is quite different for semester 2. Indeed, you can see that there will be 39,000 euros of payments, and that the contribution remaining from the last semester is only 13,000, meaning that partner 2 will have to advance at least 50,607,000 euros. For this exercise, and to make it easier, we will say that partner 2 will advance 26,000 euros in this semester, and we'll write it down here in the line on cash advance, 26,000. 26,000 will be advanced by partner 2 in semester 2, and you can see now that the difference is positive. Be aware that when you have finished to complete the financial plan, the line difference should only present figures in positive figures. So you should only have positive figures or figures equaling 0. So 0 or a positive figure, no negative figures. If you have a negative figures, it shows that either you have not understood the exercise or you will have a problem of cash at a certain moment. So now with this move, we can see that semester 4 is okay so far, but we still have semester 3 where we have a need for cash of a bit more than 9,000 euros, and we will specify 9.2 thousand euros. And now we are okay for partner 2. All the amounts in difference are positive amounts. So you are okay. You will have no financial gap in your financial plan for this partner. Please remark that besides the first line that informs you on the EU contribution that you will receive, you have also other lines, like, for example, the line on revenues. So if one of the partners is going to generate any type of revenue, you have to inform us here in the financial plan. Also, if a partner will benefit from interest from pre-financing, but let's assume that this is not quite common. But in any case, you will have to fill in the cash advance line. Now we can also say that, let's have a look at partner 1. We have also a very unbalanced picture with 3 semesters in negative amounts. You can also have another choice. Instead of specifying cash advance in these 3 semesters, you can go back to the budget part 1 and rebalance the payments for each partners, knowing that you have this situation in the financial plan. So if possible, try to rebalance it and to get a more balanced financial plan where you will have to advance less money, or you will have to advance money in a more balanced way. So you will repeat this information for all the partner, this operation, and you will save. As always save. If not, the information is not included. We have done budget part 1, budget part 2, we have done the financial plan. We still have to fill in the financial capacity section. Let's have a look at the financial capacity section. In this exercise, we have our applicant. In our case, it is a public, indeed a region. We have partner 1, which is also public. Partner 3 and 4 are public too. But we have partner 2, which is private. Remember here that if you are a public partner, you don't have to fill in the section on financial capacity. But you have to do it for the private partners. I have already pre-filled this information when completing the French version of this presentation, but I will see it back with you. Partner 2 in our partnership is a Jordanian partner. So the first thing that you are going to do is to choose the currency, and it is highly probable that the Jordanian partner will not have his annual accounts in euro. Here you have to choose Jordanian currency if the annual accounts of the partner are in this currency. So choose the currency of the annual accounts. You can see that automatically the system is providing a conversion rate to euro and an average of these two conversion rates. Then you have to populate the balance sheet and the profit and loss account only if we're talking of a for-profit company. If we're talking of a non-profit private partners, you will not have to fill in the profit and loss account, and you will only have to fill in the balance sheet. An important difference. So you have here to populate first the balance sheet and provide us information, very simple, that you should find in your annual audited accounts, or equivalent if you have no obligation to audit your accounts. So in your account, in your annual accounts, you can easily identify the total of net fixed assets, for example, of the current assets, of the cash and cash equivalents. I mind your attention here that 100,000 next fixed assets is the amount in the national currency in which the annual accounts are drafted, not euro, unless, of course, that your annual accounts are in euro. So we're talking here of national currencies. And on the right side, you will have an average for both financial years and directly the conversion to euro. Please provide us the figures for the last 2 financial years available at the moment of the submission. Normally it will be 2019 and 2018. You will have also to provide us information on your liabilities as well as on your capital. So you can see this after the total assets. You know that a basic rule of accountancy is that total assets equals total liabilities and capital. So that's why in our example, total assets, you can see 175,000 equals the same amounts for total liabilities and capital. On this basis, the system automatically calculates 3 ratios: the liquidity rate, the debt rate, and the subvention rate. And it gives you automatically a result. Here you can have you have 2 ratios, debt rate and subvention rate, that you fulfill correctly, so they are okay. But the liquidity rate is not in line with the program requirements. But let's see it afterwards if this situation is a problem or not. As we are talking in our case of a for-profit company, for-profit private actor, we have to provide also information on the profit and loss account, also available in your financial accounts. So provide us information on the total revenues of the company, on the personal costs, on the other operating costs. A bit below, provide us information on net financial income, which could be a positive or a negative amount. On the next extraordinary items, positive or negative, and on the taxes on profit, which will always be a positive amount. The system automatically calculates the amounts that you will have in profit loss for the period. In this case, we have a positive amount, meaning that on average, this company has generated a benefit instead of a loss. And this means that the force ratio, which is a very quite easy ratio, is okay, positive ratio. Now you know, but we'll see it above. This is the result of the financial capacity exercise for partner 2. Your financial capacity is in line with the set minimum criteria. Why? Because for profit private companies, for profit private organizations, you have to meet at least 3 out of 4 financial criteria, and this is the case. You are missing only 1, so this is okay. For non-profit private organizations, you have to meet 2 out of 3 financial criteria. In any case, and it is important to remark this difference, we are talking here of a partner, not of the lead applicant. If a partner is not meeting the minimum criteria, this will not lead to the rejection of the proposal. It will only mean that this project partner will be considered at risk for the financial capacity. But should this happen for the lead applicant, you need absolutely to meet the financial capacity minimum criteria, meaning 3 out of 4 for a profit organization and 2 out of 3 for a non-profit organization. Should you not meet these minimum criteria, the proposal would be rejected. You would not be able to submit the application. So pay attention from the beginning to the financial accounts of the applicant in order to see if you will meet the criteria or not. Of course, don't lose all your time drafting the proposal if you know from the start that the applicant is not meeting the financial criteria. And this is all for the financial capacity, and this is almost all for this presentation. Before finishing, let me just giving you back or again a few advice. The first one is insisting again in that you should only start to complete the budget once you have finished the logical framework and the partnership. Maybe afterwards you may have to modify something, but the best is that you have it almost closed. It will make you win a lot of time. And very important also to complete correctly the financial plan. For this, you have to choose for each budget line, you have to tell us and you have to choose the semesters in which the budget item will be incurred. So this is very important. You could miss this, but if you miss it, the financial plan would be worthless and we want you to make the financial plan correctly. Do not forget to fill in the financial plan and the financial capacity section. This is all for this presentation. Thank you very much for your long attention to this quite long presentation. I wish you the best of luck again for your proposal and see you soon.